Ищи Турика.
And okay. Just doing the settings so for the YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, we're done. Okay, so hello everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining our webinar today morning. My name is Yulia Petrachuk. I'm the artistic director of the Lyrica Classic Entertainment. And this is Carlo Mahfouz.
I am the director of innovation and strategy at Lyrica, and thank you all for joining us tonight.
And before we start, make sure that you choose the right language to listen to. The option Russian or English is listed in your screen down menu. If you click on the globe icon, you can also use Q&A chat to ask questions during the session, and our guests will be happy to answer them at the end of our interview. Our webinar today is a part of an international project, Spread New Music to the World. This is a collaborative artistic program between Russia and United States with the support of the US Embassy in Moscow. And it features the new American oratorio, Requiem for the Fallen, by American-Belgian composer Emmanuel Dubois. You can find more information about our project on our website, www.lyricaclassic.org. And today you have a chance to meet with all the participants of our oratorio project. Please welcome composer of the oratorio Requiem for the Fallen, Emmanuel Dubois. Hello, maestro.
Hello, thank you very much for the introduction, Julia.
Of course, renowned American conductor that will lead the production of the oratorio from the United States, Michael Wittenburg.
Good morning.
Michael, good morning.
Good morning.
Director of the vocal ensemble Vera, which translates in English faith, and beautiful mezzo-soprano, Evgenia Kuznetsova. Hello, Evgenia. And the manager of the Young Symphony Orchestra Voce Anima, Alexia Medvedev, that is also an artist. Hello, Alexei. So, and thank you so much to you all to participate in our project and make it happen. We have different challenges, especially because this is a virtual project, and we have to deal with a lot of things like technology, which not working sometimes very well. So thank you so much to you all for your professional work. And today we will start probably with a little bit to tell about our mission of our company, Lyrica Classic, because we never shared that. And Carlo will a little bit tell us about our mission.
So Lyrica Classic Entertainment is a 501c3 nonprofit organization committed to bringing well-organized, high-quality classical music and performing art experiences to prestigious venues throughout North America, Europe, and other parts of the world, in this case, Russia. We are focusing on new and lesser-known classical and contemporary compositions. We celebrate unsung composers' work by pairing their works with top-caliber talent and ideal performance settings. By bringing undiscovered and underappreciated music into the public sphere, under optimized conditions, we allow the public to evaluate compositions as the composer intended them to be performed. Since our formation in 2015, Lyrica Classic has had an established record of success in accomplishing its mission. And last year, we received our nonprofit status, and we were able to launch 2 large US premieres at Carnegie Hall in New York City. The Love Letters, a mono opera by contemporary Ukrainian composer, Vitaly Hubarenko, and the US premiere of our own Requiem for the Fallen, which will be US premiering in Russia this coming December by Emmanuel Dubois. So if you are a composer and you feel that your work deserves to be heard, or maybe you are an artist that has an interesting project related to contemporary or just unknown music, feel free to submit us your materials to our email that you can find on our website.
Thank
Julia?
you so much for the introduction. And feel free, please, to ask any questions in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry, I started to speak Russian. Oh, no, yes, I spoke in English.
Yes, you're good.
So feel free, please, to ask any questions in the chat. We'll be happy to answer about our project. So, and let's start, with our composer, Emmanuel Dubois. Emmanuel, please, of course, everybody are interested. How did you become a composer? Yeah, what is your life? And because we know that you started very late, actually, to compose. It's very interesting. How did you arrive to that point?
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And by the way, all artists, musicians in particular, owe a lot for your enterprise, Lyrica Classic Entertainment. Because as a composer, when we have something that we try to offer, it's very difficult to find a serious outlet, people who we can trust, who will do the good job with what we think is our mission. So I've been extremely lucky that we met about 5-6 years ago. And I think obviously once I got to meet Lyrica Classic Entertainment through you, everything becomes logical. But indeed, what happened before that? As you said, indeed, I started very late. I remember in your previous webinars, some of them start at the age of a few years old, or even 14 years old. For me, I start having my first formal training in music at the age of 46. And before that, I had a career as a chemist from the University of Brussels. I was born in Belgium. I'm a native French and Flemish speaker. But I was raised in a totally different environment. But still as a child, I knew that one day, and very early on, I would become a musician. I did not know how. I was just not allowed to because I was the middle child in a family with many kids, and I was supposed to help everybody in the task, of the household. But I self-taught playing piano for many, many years. I had an interesting repertoire, but obviously I could not exhibit anything, and it was just for myself. I started composing at the time, and some of those ideas became already part of my current composition. So it's a very long trip. But the role model I had is my grandmother. She was the sweetest person I can remember, and she was trained as a soprano from the University of Ghent in Brussels, in Belgium. And all my childhood, she has enchanted my dreams of music. She had a beautiful mezzo-soprano voice, and her husband, my grandfather, was accompanying her. I belabor this a bit because it's important. And there was a big wide vacuum. I became a chemist. I enjoyed chemistry very much, but it was not me. And one day on a trip on vacation in the middle of the winter in France, I met the girl who would become my wife, and she happened to be American. And so we were married the same year, and then we decided, I don't speak a word of English. So after my military service in Belgium, required service, we moved to the US, and I went to get an MBA, a business degree. I was lucky enough that at the end of my degree, a recruiter from a large bank in New York City interviewed me and hired me. I had done something which was a bit unusual at the time. It was among my elective courses. I chose Arabic. So I was able also to read and not really speak, but read and write fluently in modern standard Arabic. And that was a big plus, and I became attached working for the Africa division of my bank. And over time, I became the manager of the whole division. With my wife and our children, we moved to Central Africa for several years. And then the whole experience of more than 10 years working intensely with Africa changed my view of mankind. I saw the need for empathy, the need for understanding, and also how, as a Belgian national, I was part of a ruthless colonial power. And all that I could not change, but I could at least think of it. And I thought, and I did whatever I could to do good, if I can say, but that's still my mind. And after 10 years also, we decided to come back to the US. And we settled in the state of Michigan, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is very much in the news right now, by the way. But anyway, that's about the vaccine. So after a few years, I remember one day, I come to talk to my wife, say, Susie, I would like to be a musician. And she told me, go for it. I was 46. And then I signed up at the University of Michigan, and they thought I was kind of crazy because who would do that? And there was an introductory exam to take. I flunked it. I had to analyze a 4-part chorale by Bach to be admitted to the school. Obviously, it was ununderstandable for me. I was playing everything by ear. And they said, oh, good, here's a book, come back next time. And obviously the next time, 6 months later, I aced the exam. And then everything happened. My teachers were my age. We had a long conversation with my composition teacher and piano teacher about what is important in life, our view. And they knew what I was trying to do was to share a sense of empathy about and respect about life through music. And then for a few years, I composed essentially instrumental music. And I earned several awards, the Irving S. Gilmore Emerging Artist Award, Pharmacy and Upjohn Foundation Award, and another one for the area. By that time, I was convinced that I was good material to be a composer. And over the years, I wrote more and more music, instrumental, but the idea that if I could communicate through vocal works, my idea, I could add another dimension. And so I wrote some pieces for that were probably fairly successful, but it was not orderly in my mind. I had no method because I was never taught how to pay attention to the voice. And then it's purely by chance that in 2015, we met in Washington, D.C., and we started collaborating on many works, vocal work which I wrote, and by the way, which are all you singing on my website. But there was although it might not have been clear at the time, there was a plan of that. I was listening and studying how you were singing. And each time, something was curious, I listened. So I wrote some music that went to look into that had interested me at the moment. And so I had time to explore quite a bit. But at the same time, I was still maturing in my idea that sometime I have to write a piece about mankind. And that idea slowly became the Requiem for the Fallen. Now,
okay, Manu, well, let's come back to the Requiem for the Fallen. That's an amazing story, and this is basically an American dream, I could say.
It is definitely the American dream. There's no question. Yes. If I may say a second, I have great respect for my own culture, obviously, because that's in a way that's why I am who I am. But the sense of opportunity, I don't think I could have done that, changing 3 times, each time a new degree for something, and people in society tell me, go for it. If you risk, you take a risk, and I think that is fantastic.
But also your parents, they were established musicians, right?
Yes, my mother and my father both played piano, but they were not, let's say, I don't know, let's say that innate gift that makes someone really a musician. They love music, but somehow there was something that was in there. So it was, I listened to my mother playing essentially Debussy and Chopin and works, while my father was focusing more on fugue by Bach, and that's what his work was, the work of Johann Sebastian Bach. So in that respect, I had excellent model, but I was prevented by the same people to play music. And so I went back to that old dream when I my childhood of thinking of my grandmother. And that was really the backbone, the spine of what I was doing. And there was a way out of that, but I did not know how. And as I tried to say, little by little, that emerged. And I followed the events. And obviously, the big break is when I moved to the United States, there's no question. And I started doing something totally different. 10 years in Africa. But, you know, I do not regret a single second of it, because that is what that allowed me to be myself in a certain way. And I think the most important thing that we as adults, and I'm a grandfather now, we never try to control the dreams of our children and grandchildren, although they do not know that they are dreaming yet. But we have to be very careful, because that's the potential of mankind that we may disturb. And I think that that's what I'm trying to make sure happens, that all around me, nobody interferes with someone else's dreams.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much, Manu. Emmanuel. Manu is the short name, and we're friends, so I call Emmanuel Manu. So, Michael, I know you started your career as a violinist. Is it true? And how did you become a composer?
Actually,
conductor.
Actually, I started as piano. Piano was my first instrument, and I was 5. Yes, typically in America, you know, a lot of people have grown up having, you know, just music lessons as a child, and my father was similar to that. He started piano at 5, but he quit at 10. So, but he played other instruments. I think he played saxophone. He did some other things. My parents, when they were in Germany, they were both the army, civilian corps in Germany, and that's where I was born, in Germany. They acquired an old German piano, and they brought it back. My mother was prevented from learning music because she was from a Depression era household, and the rule, she was in a family of 3, that they had to afford the lessons over everyone, or no one got something. And she said that was sad, because the other 2 sisters said, we actually don't want music. Let Margaret have the music. And the parents said, no, we keep everything even. We don't show favorites here. So she wanted it. And so because she wanted it, she wanted to make sure I had it. And so that's why they bought that piano before I was even born, and then brought it all the way back to Arizona, where we first lived. And
so they decided your destiny, basically.
Yeah, I guess, right. I remember sort of discovering the piano. It was in our garage in Arizona. It didn't have really a place in the house. It was so big. And I would go out and I just sort of bang on it. So it was something I sort of explored. I remember the day I discovered the damper pedal. I could push that down. Ooh, the sounds keeps ringing. I remember this. I was like 3. So I, you know, and I didn't actually start formal lessons for a while. We moved around. We ended up in Oklahoma when my dad finally left all government service, and I started my first lessons there. But I remember we used to watch the Boston Pops. That was when Arthur Fiedler was the conductor there. And I loved watching him. You know, I've heard people say things about his musicianship, but it was inspiring to me. And something about it just really stuck with me. And so that was my model, actually, was Arthur Fiedler. And I remember some of my first things, and, you know, in kindergarten class, they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'd already started piano by this point, but I found my drawing. It says, I want to be an orchestra conductor. And there's me with my stick figure, with a stick figure holding a stick, you know, so because I couldn't draw very well, but, you know, so there was me, like, I was like, really, I didn't put piano, I put orchestra conductor. So I've always had that in the back of my mind that I wanted to do. And my parents bought several albums while they were living in Germany. And so growing up, I listened to a heavy dose of classical music on our turntable. I remember at age 10 or 11, I said, why am I listening to pop music? There's so much music on the classical station. Like on the pop music, everything repeats every hour. But on the classical station, you don't ever hear the same thing ever again because there's so much music there. And I realized I have a whole world I need to explore. And I said, Mom, I don't want to listen to this music anymore. Please can we just listen to the classical station? She said, okay. And from then on, it was just like every day getting just like immersed in something, you know. I remember like, you know, discovering Daphnis and Chloe of Ravel, and just sort of mind exploded. Every time I listened to another piece, just mind exploded in a different way. And so I had a real just inundation of all these things. Violin did come in. I said I wanted to learn something new, and they gave me a choice. They said, do you want to work on singing? Because actually I got accepted into a boys chorus of young, and they said, do you want to do that or do you want to do violin? And I said, I think I'd rather do violin. So voice went away and I did violin instead. I had one friend in high school said, you missed the boat, you should have done singing. And I'm like, well, that's okay. I coach singers now. I'm quite happy to just observe it from the distance. But violin, even though I never was as good on violin, it afforded me opportunities. As a pianist, there are no opportunities really. There's a billion pianists. So if you go to music festivals, they don't need pianists. They need violinists and other instrumentalists. They need people to play in the orchestra. And through that, I got to go to several summer festivals, Brevard in North Carolina, and then I was accepted as governor's scholar. Each of the states get a scholarship to Interlochen Center for the Arts. At the time, it was still the National Music Camp. So I was the governor's scholar from Oklahoma. It's actually a good thing I lived in a smaller state, a smaller pool to compete against. But on violin, I actually beat someone who went on to San Francisco Conservatory of Music as a violin major. So actually, I had my high point. That was just enough to get me to Interlochen, and from there they recruited me into the academy, the Interlochen Arts Academy, and so that's where I graduated my high school from. At that time, that was something I really needed. I needed to be immersed further in what I was doing. So, you know, strong orchestra program, performed concerts every 2 weeks. I had a very strong Russian piano teacher who actually took me back to zero and started me over again. Violin technique also, I got broken down and restarted. And I thank God for that, because if I didn't have that, I would not be anywhere. I couldn't have gotten into the conservatories that I got into. I ended up going to the Eastman School of Music in Rochester. I met my teacher, two very important teachers. Fernando Lares, who's the founder of the American Liszt Society, was my first teacher while I was there. And then Alan Feinberg, who is renowned. He's premiered over 200 works. A bunch of works have been written for him. Charles Warren sonatas, and the Milton Babbitt Piano Concerto was actually written for him. So it was very inspiring to have someone who was really exploring these cutting edge of music. At the same time, in the studio, you weren't expected to just do new music. He said, find your niche and do it. So, and also his albums explore all kinds of things. He has a series of albums, American Syncopator, American Romantic. So he explores romantic stuff. I saw him perform the Amy Beach Concerto that he learned in like 1 month with the orchestra, and it was astounding. You know, he could just absorb, and he had a voracious appetite for music and could just put this out. So he inspired me to like try to be able to do that same thing, to just incorporate music as fast as I can to be able to perform again. I was working on my conducting at the beginning, just little bits at a time, but the piano was being very successful. I have degrees in piano for both the bachelor's and the master's. And at that point, got married, had my child, Carl. We were looking for like what I needed to do next. And I found a school in Tennessee, which is where I went to continue my conducting studies. And from there, I became a university professor. I conducted the orchestra as well as taught piano. And that I've kind of gone from there. I also had a strong opera background from Eastman. So I've worked in opera companies, and then through things now I'm in New York, and I'm totally freelance now. I'm mostly collaborative piano, some solo piano, but a good heavy dose of working as chorus master or assisting conductor with lots of different opera companies. That's all been sort of truncated lately, but you know, it's good to try to do these opportunities, and I'm so grateful that Lyrica has presented me with this opportunity to work with this group.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. And actually, I can add to that, like I met Michael, I don't know, already like about 7 years ago or 8. I just arrived to the States and I had an audition where I was singing Francesca da Rimini aria by Rachmaninoff, which is super difficult, not only to play, but just in ensemble. And Michael have never played that piece, even never.
I have not played it again to this day.
He never heard about that piece. And basically from the page, he was completely going with me and played almost perfectly. Well, at least we appreciate, solists, the ensemble. Yeah, we don't care if it's all notes are played, but at least it's together and we have a support and pianist following us. Since I'm a performer, so I had many auditions. And so when Michael did that, I'm like, this pianist, I should take his contact.
And I can't remember, did you find me or did we just meet in the hall?
We just meet there. You were playing at this.
I was playing for other people, right?
For that company. I don't remember the company name, or it was competition. I don't remember.
Okay, yes.
But you were just playing there, so for everyone. And I got your contact
yes.
and put in my list of the pianists which I would like to work with in the future. And basically we collaborated in the future on several projects and we are continuing. So thank you, Michael. Let's move forward, and now we would like to hear about Evgenia. Unmute her.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Добрый день, вечер. Меня зовут Евгения, я оперная певица, окончила Московскую консерваторию. И так сложилась моя судьба, что параллельно со своей карьерой оперной и камерной я веду дела ансамбля солистов «Вера». Это изначально был церковный коллектив, который базировался в церкви. И так получилось, что его слава, его поклонники как-то нас так, можно сказать, превознесли, что мы стали популярными. И стали популярными среди молодежи, среди людей, которые приходят в церковь. То есть это церковный был коллектив. И сейчас наш коллектив взял курс на современную музыку. В этом году было принято решение, и пандемия этому была виной тоже, что так как мы все сидим по своим углам, работать всем очень хочется, и хочется творить. Мы имеем какой-то отклик от зрителей, от слушателей. Нам начинают писать, для нас начинают писать, для этого коллектива специально. Но какие-то новые композиторы, они появляются, они пишут на почту. Пошла какая-то реакция на наше пение. Мы придумали конкурс современных композиторов. Конкурс современных композиторов христианской музыки. То есть в этом могут участвовать абсолютно все, любой конфессии. Если вы знаете латынь, как, допустим, мы сейчас поем Эммануэля Дюбуа, «Реквием по павшим», и мы можем использовать этот текст, мы можем использовать просто латынь, вы можете участвовать в нашем конкурсе, принимать участие и выиграть, и быть, как-то, так сказать, отмеченным. Для нас сейчас это стало очень важным, и мне кажется, это важно для тех, кто непосредственно... Композиторы, мне кажется, тоже пострадали сейчас с коронавирусом, с нашей пандемией, от того, что эту музыку нельзя нигде применить. И вот такой проект, как предложила нам Лирика Классик в русском формате, это, ну, это просто потрясающе, это шикарно. Это когда мы можем взаимодействовать, когда мы можем обмениваться опытом, опытом с такими профессионалами, когда могут найти новые. Мы тоже, по сути, ансамбль очень молодой, нам всего лишь 2 года. И мы начинали как церковный ансамбль, просто в храме. И так получилось, что вот как бы вот друг за дружкой связывается, что современная музыка нужна, так выходит. И современная музыка важна, и это нравится петь, это нравится людям, которые это исполняют, им это нравится. То есть это как бы это в угоду времени, это то, что сейчас нужно, это необходимо. Еще учитывая то, что сейчас пандемия, то, что сейчас все под запретом, у нас в России коллективы хоровые под запретом, концерты под запретом, и мы делаем, совершаем такое дело, такой проект, и с такой наполняемостью, с таким драматизмом. Это произведение «Реквием». Это просто, ну вот как бы, это настолько все сложилось, что это просто вот как-то такой, как путеводная звезда для нас явились вы, ваш проект, Майкл, Эммануэль, это просто, ну это что-то потрясающее. Это действительно то, что нужно сейчас зрителю, то, что необходимо слушателю, и то, что может продолжить дальше вот это вот все, вот как-то наше единство.
Well,
То, что может соединять.
Yeah, thank you so much, Evgenia. We will translate in English. We're actually putting some of what Evgenia was talking about. We put it in our chat for you to read, yeah, who doesn't speak Russian. But we will also later translate everything what Evgenia said. And we thank her and her ensemble in participating in our project. And basically she said that now what is important is really the contemporary music today, because they perform a lot of contemporary music and they see how popular it is, actually, and people like it and love it, and people just don't know what they miss if they don't have a chance to hear new music. And basically mission of her ensemble is to promote not only spiritual music but also contemporary in general. And our project just came right in time to basically to this point. And especially because of lockdown, and we have like virtual event, and we can collaborate with different artists from different countries. Yeah, and this is amazing. One question, Evgeny, about your competition. So is it only for Russians or for everyone, and how people can participate? Is it online where they can submit their materials?
Я так понимаю, что все ссылки мы вам переслали, Юлия, да?
Yeah.
Верно?
Да.
Да, все ссылки вы можете, значит, узнать в дальнейшем. Все отправлено, и в том числе конкурс. Нет никаких возрастных ограничений. И нет разделений в конфессиях. То есть вы можете быть абсолютно католиком, протестантом. Конкурс христианской музыки, христианской. То есть могут участвовать все. Кто-то может написать также «Реквием», как Эммануэль Дюбуа. Это вот как бы вот такой знаменоносец наш, который вот может представить миру, да, и вот понести это знамя. Прекрасно. Это все настолько оказалось в этом году, как-то сложилось все, что современная музыка нас не покидала. К сожалению, так сложилось, что пандемия, но при этом через это мы придумали какие-то новые проекты, как вы и как мы. То есть это какое-то такое вот общее дело, и музыка, она вне языков, вне конфессий, религий и так далее и тому подобное.
So people can find the information about how to participate on your website. Is it correct?
Да, yes.
Very good. Yeah, so we shared the links in our chat, and we will also follow with the links after. Yeah, we send the emails. And Emmanuel, you were invited actually to participate at that competition. Evgenia was talking about her competition for the contemporary music composers. And and everybody can participate. Thank you so much, Evgenia. So let's meet our next guest, Alexia Medvedev. Hello, Alexei.
Hello. Здравствуйте, всех приветствую.
So tell us about yourself, and I know that you're also an artist, and how did you establish your orchestra, Voce Anima?
Всех рад видеть. Вот, благодарен вам, Юлия, за то, что доверили. Вот, интересный проект в такое время, во время этой пандемии. Вот, возможно, он станет таким неким мостом между нашими странами, культурным, который соединит, и, может быть, как-то благодаря ему что-то будет теплее отношения.
Yeah.
Вот. Ну, что касается оркестра, оркестр молодой относительно, но концертная деятельность у нас довольно-таки серьезная на центральных площадках Москвы. Вот. Я с детства мамой был так направляем в сторону культуры, в сторону музыки. Я в 6 лет меня отдали в детскую труппу Большого театра. Вот. И параллельно меня перевели в театр Бориса Покровского, знаменитого режиссера, вот, под началом которого я начинал свою творческую деятельность. Вот. Но потом была нужда в моем образовании музыкальном, чтобы дальше понимать, как все устроено. Меня отдали в музыкальную школу по классу фагот.
Mm-hmm.
Вот. Ну, соответственно, закончил музыкальную школу, колледж, Российскую академию имени Гнесиных. Вот. Работал в одном известном российском коллективе долгое время, объездил весь мир с гастролями. Вот. Но пришел какое-то, видимо, взросление, пришло какое-то желание, наверное, сделать что-то, вот, дать миру, людям понимание своего видения музыки.
Mm-hmm.
Вот. И мы с друзьями решили сделать свой оркестр. Вот. Ну вот потихонечку, общими усилиями мы пришли к сегодняшнему нашему сотрудничеству.
What is the mission of your orchestra or the style? Like, do you perform everything or just a specific music?
Ну, мы разностороннюю музыку исполняем. Это и классика, как без нее, вот, и военно-патриотические песни, и детские программы музыкальные. Вот. Но основное направление – это духовная музыка. Вот. Мы в прошлом году у нас было несколько российских премьер духовных произведений разных композиторов разных стран, и греческие, и итальянские, и российские. Вот. Вот сейчас предстоит еще одна российская премьера, вот, чему мы очень рады.
Американского композитора.
Да, американского композитора, да. Поэтому география ширится, и, думаю, все впереди. В следующем году запланировано несколько проектов, таких серьезных, посвященных таким знаковым датам. 800-летию Александра Невского хотим исполнить кантату Александра Невский Прокофьева. Вот. И 300 лет Московскому синодальному хору. Тоже примем участие в каких-то мероприятиях.
So we are sharing the website links for your to your orchestra website and Facebook page, where everybody can find the future projects and follow you. I know also you have Instagram. So I think like through your website, people can find it and follow your projects. So let's go. Thank you so much, Alexia. And we are very happy to work with you. And especially you also, we all align with our mission and we have same goal, and especially with collaboration. And again, how you said, and we all were saying that there is no nationality in music. We all are together, and that's what unites us. So, Emmanuel, let's. Carlo, can you please play the?
Yes.
So just 1 second.
My name is Emmanuel Dubois. I'm the composer of the oratorio Requiem for the Fallen, that is written in commemoration of the soldiers and fallen victims of wars.
So that was our promo video of our project. And basically this was a short piece, short recording from our Carnegie Hall premiere of the last year of the oratorio. So Emmanuel, tell us please how, what event basically pushed you to compose this oratorio, and what inspired you?
Yes, as I said at the beginning, I was on my way to compose something with that character, a sense of compassion. And we knew, obviously, I knew in 2016 about, by coincidence, when I had met you, that 2018 would be the centennial of World War I, the end of hostilities. And that became a theme to focus upon. And so I was very serious about the writing, getting organized to compose the oratorio, and the second part was very well on its way when a dear friend of mine, who was a Belgian diplomat, actually, a retired Belgian diplomat, was killed in a terrorist attack at the airport in Brussels. And that shocked me. He was a very dear friend. We were very close in terms of appreciating international issues. And that galvanized me, gave me the energy to continue this big piece. And actually, I thank you for playing the end of the oratorio, which maybe by thinking of him, I was able to get the energy to organize that intensity. I should say that the oratorio is not meant to be a joyful piece. It's a serious piece, but very strong. And I see it actually as a double concerto, where we have the timpani, and we saw how important timpani is a kind of warlike element, be in contrast all time with the soprano voice, which is a more gentle and feminine element in the concept of this piece. So is that strong duality, and that's what the oratorio is about. And actually, when I finished compose the last part, I was in France, and I talked to the conductor, and I said, listen, I think I know the soprano somewhere in Washington who would be excellent. And we invited you to our house in France several times, and people got to know you. And then when the oratorio was finished, he said, yes, okay. And he invited you to play the premiere of that oratorio in a church in France for the centennial of the end of World War I. And then obviously we had the presentation that Lyrica artists organized at Carnegie Hall last year, and this year all the magnificent work that you do in Moscow. I must say, I really appreciate the fact that the first idea of recollecting about the loss of people in World War I has been extrapolated to the loss of life in general, okay? And then that it's also used as a commemorative music for the 75th anniversary of World War II in the context of cooperation, of what we can do together as nation. And I think that is really the idea of what I'm trying to do in music. My next project are the cantata Alleluia for Mankind, which is on let's say, quotes by Native American, Indians, let's say, about Black Americans, about Africans. I try to focus on people who do not look like me, think. And I went to an extensive research of quotes, the way they talk about compassion, their perspective. And that's what my next project is about. And I'm working on a piano concerto also, but those are different stories, I'm non-vocal. But roughly, I must say that a final point on this, when I got to work on the oratorio, definitely after having studied your voice, and I must thank not only Lyrica Classic Entertainment, but Yula Petrochuk as a friend and a singer, that I thought that the cadenza should really be written for you, and try to see how from high C to low C, we could just see what the voice can give. And by the way, all that cadenza is a cappella. So after playing the two octaves.
Yeah, we can share it right now, actually, from the France, this cadenza. Let's play it. So that was the cadenza, and thank you. Thank you so much. And actually, as a singer, yeah, I can say that it was very challenging to sing 2 octaves, basically, in the one cadenza. Yeah, so thank you, Manu. Thank you so much for your work. Yeah, and we're really curious to hear your next work, your next oratorio. And probably we can actually now collaborate, yeah, with the new our friends in Russia, and do again some international project, especially we don't know when we will be open again. Yeah, and actually Evgeny also told us how it's difficult now to perform for choruses because we cannot be singing in masks, and basically everything is cancelled. Yeah, but yeah, we have to find a way still how to create. Yeah, thank you. So,
yeah, thank
Michael,
you very much.
let's come back to Michael. So tell us about your projects. Yeah, what are you doing? How do you survive in today's environment? Yeah, of the lockdowns. I know you're teaching a lot, and you're actually teaching a lot of very, very young people.
Yeah. So my main thrust currently, actually what brought me to New York, I had been in Florida with 2 different opera companies in Orlando and Sarasota. And when those came to an end, I came to New York to become the main collaborative pianist for a very excellent violin studio in New York and New Jersey, the Elizabeth Fadley studio. And she's actually very sought after nationally, internationally pedagogue for violin. I've always said she's like the next Dorothy DeLay, and most people know that name as the teacher of Isaac Perlman. And I firmly believe it. It's actually why I decided to come to New York after years of avoiding coming to New York, because I believe in how she teaches. We go way back. We went to school together in Tennessee, and we actually have similar ties through the Heifetz Institute that's run by Danny Heifetz. It's currently in Virginia, but I'm actually both an alumnus and a faculty member at the Heifetz Institute. So I had a lot of great experience and training through there with my collaborative work. So as her students have gotten better and better and better over the 10 years now that I've been here, I have been involved with all of their college auditions. I've been involved with all of their competitions, everything over the years. So what happened when we went virtual, we decided to keep some elements that we'd been running. We had created actually our own orchestra program called the Elite Academy for Strings. And we even entered our concert in the American Prize competition. And both myself as a conductor and the orchestra, we both got 3rd prize in our categories. So we were very fortunate to get that recognition. And when we had to go virtual, we decided to keep some Zoom classes of not to do actual rehearsals, because that becomes impossible, but to do like more masterclass style rehearsals. And also we incorporated some music theory lessons. And I even taught a 3-week seminar of musical style that we opened up to everyone to come on to Zoom. And that was fun to be able to sort of do a half lecture, half musical demonstration, like you just did with bits from our oratorio. I had to create whole lists of music and sort of disseminate them out. And then we listened to it and discuss what was happening. And then from that, I even started teaching some music theory privately. We had little group classes that we got together to all play for each other and make comments. So we were sort of like studio class style. So we kept some of that going. And then as we finally got to open up, we decided in the studio, we built these giant acrylic shields that we hide behind, and we are in masks, and we allow some students one at a time to come in the studio at a very large distance. We actually we finished a series of online competitions yesterday. I'm sorry, if I had the name of the competition, I would say it, but it's actually only an online competition. And so everyone was coming in. It was very serious with them doing multiple sound checks to make sure of balances and all these microphones set up and everything, because the whole competition was live and broadcast on top of that. It was not only virtual, but it was live and broadcast. And a bunch of our students were in the finals yesterday for that. So that was an interesting experience, but it's been challenging. We're trying to make live music work. It's like, there's only certain things people say, oh, can you record this for me so I can play? I'm like, well, yes, but that won't work as well with the live, so we can do certain things, but like, if we do it, you'll have to hear me counting 1, 2 to start. You'll actually have these on recordings. It's annoying, but like for students, they accept that. When you get to a certain level, college, conservatory, they don't want that. So we have to come up with different other means. So we have come up with ways that we can start recording as much as we can, keeping our distance and stuff like that, like limited live. It's kind of what we're at. We're limited live.
Okay, well, but do you have now more work actually, or less?
Well, my bank account would say otherwise. I feel like I'm busier, but it's not like what it was. We were doing giant studio recitals 3 times a year. And so the requirement for that preparation plus the recitals itself, you know, was even more hours. And also I had a chorus where I was working with, that's gone. The opera that I accompany, they've actually ceased operations, you know, so no, I don't have as much work as before because of those things. I've picked up other things to fill up time, but it's still not quite the same. Yeah.
Well, we do our best.
Yes.
And hopefully, yeah, we soon it will change. But I think still something will stay the same. And we have to adjust to it. Yeah, especially like lessons. Yeah, they probably will be more online. And people will be very careful for maybe 1 year or 2 more, and wearing masks and etc. Is this reality?
At least we have a vaccine coming, so there
Well,
is
we
some
have
bright
some
future.
vaccine, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so.
In 10 years, we will know if it works or if it kills. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for sharing. I think we lost Evgenia. She had in a concert. I don't know if she will appear as again and to say goodbye. But we're wishing her all the best at the concert. Yeah, and big success. And everybody can check her also website and YouTube and her singing and her ensemble singing. We share the links in the chat. So Alexei, how your orchestra adjusted to the present situation of this environment? Do you have less work? Do you what precautions you having, yeah, at your concerts?
Да, спасибо за вопрос. Но вы знаете, все те запланированные мероприятия, концерты, участие в каких-то мероприятиях, которые у нас были, запланированы, они все прошли. Так как сейчас карантин, конечно, нас ограничили и публику, и меры предосторожности, но при соблюдении всех этих рекомендаций и запретов мы смогли это все перевести в онлайн, где-то с частью публики, где-то в онлайн. В общем, пришлось приспосабливаться. Вот. Но, конечно, когда работаешь с публикой, с живой, это другие эмоции, другие ощущения. Все-таки онлайн-формат – это, конечно, не для искусства, не для культуры. Когда нету отдачи от зрителя, она не заводит так артистов, по себе знаю. Вот, поэтому, к сожалению, приходится исходить из реалий. Вот. Но будущие проекты, вот я говорил уже о Прокофьеве, там достаточно большой состав оркестра, и мы, планируя этот концерт, исходим из тех возможных ситуаций, какие могут быть, вот, и тех ограничений. Вот. Но вот думаем, как, если не разрешат там, полный состав или... Ну, в общем, думаем пока. Вот. Но большое спасибо руководству и Министерству культуры, которое дает возможность все-таки реализовываться, несмотря на действительно сложную ситуацию. Но стараемся придерживаться санитарных требований, вот, чтобы снизить риск. Вот, ну.
Of course. I'll tell us a little bit about your conductor, Михаил Котельников.
Да, спасибо. Михаил Котельников, да, мы с ним не так давно знакомы, вот, но посотрудничали уже очень много. Это молодой российский дирижер, вот, композитор, он пишет произведения для хоров, у него самого несколько хоров. Вот. Он закончил Московскую консерваторию в классе известного профессора российского Льва Зиновича Конторовича. Вот. Создал несколько своих проектов, работал в Московском синодальном хоре и работает по сей день. Но вот мы с ним нашли общие интересы, вот, и думаю, будем и дальше сотрудничать и делать новые постановки, концерты. Может быть, и Эммануэль еще что-то напишет и захочет еще что-то поставить.
We will ask him. So just again, short, yeah, we talked about the conductor, Mikhail Kotelnikov, that will assist Michael Wittenburg at this production. And Mikhail also a composer and very young and talented musician. So you can read a little bit about him right now in the chat. Or following his Facebook account, which we already shared as well. And Manu, for you was invitation, to compose something more.
Thank you.
That our new friends can perform it maybe next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
I'll keep in touch.
yeah, thank you so much, Alexei. So Emmanuel,
Спасибо вам.
tell us, we are coming closer to finish our webinar. Tell us some advice to the composers of today.
Okay. Yes, it's a very simple advice. You have to be passionate.
Okay.
And I think that when we have passion, things do happen. And be patient. And be committed, have a sense of vision, and to be honest with your vision, honest with yourself, and then things will happen. I started 46, let's say, so it is no age to start, and things can happen, but you have to have friends, good friends, and establish a network, people whom you trust and who trust you, and then you can move on, because the beauty of doing music is teamwork. Exactly. We get to know each other, we make so many friends and real friends around the world. Look at what's happening with your project right now. It's incredible. And that's how we lower the tension. So this in the world between people, and it's pure beauty. And I think with the passion, when we discover ourselves, things do happen. And that's my best advice. Be yourself. It's not about musical theory. It's just, some music and be passionate. And obviously, we have to understand how music theory works and how to have good music that will interest people over the long run, not just be a fad. But that's a different issue. But basically, that's my advice, be passionate.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. It's a good advice. Did you want to ask something?
No.
Michael?
Yes.
What your advice would be to the musicians who are just starting, they're studying?
Yeah, so it's a challenging time for music as a career right now. Yeah, and I've actually had this talk recently with my business partner about this. You're going to be going through some more hardships than normal. If you have financial support, then by all means, definitely go for it. But this is what it's going to be. You're going to need to know that you have some financial support to be able to do this. The careers, everything's in transition right now, and we have to see what shakes out in the next year or two. So I actually was commenting, this is actually one of the worst times to be in music school doing, yes, I understand the whole thing with like virtual lessons, but it's like lessons are not as good unless you're like there on the student. You have to touch your student. You have to like feel your student. You have to be breathing their air. And it's hard to like get like as much, you end up, otherwise you're at about 50%. You won't be, it'll take basically twice as many lessons or even more to get the work done as you could with a live lesson. That's my feeling anyway. Mm-hmm. So as colleges and the conservatories are going virtual, we're seeing this with some of the students that we've had go off to college. They are not progressing at the normal rate that they did when they were in our violin studio and had the intensive, sometimes multiple lessons per week. They're going off to conservatory and actually not getting much better because that is much more hands-off environment to start with. and then on top of that being virtual, and then on top of that no orchestra or chamber music, this is really, right now is hard. If you're first starting off, then you're probably in better, we have many more years to solve this problem. So yes, go do your music lessons, take that trumpet, take that oboe, voice, whatever the instrument is, go for it.
But you know, another education, yeah, in another
right.
field.
Think of it as part of your broader making you a better person in the world. And you know, we need appreciative and educated audience members as much as anything. If we perform and there's no one to perform for, it's like the tree falling in the forest. Does it make a sound? Well, do we make a sound if no one's hearing us as musicians? And in some ways, no. We can only perform in our living rooms or for our Instagram crowd so much. We need to also have the personal contact with our audience. So we need good audience members and people who appreciate music. So yeah, so for music is definitely worth studying. Think about though, do I need to be able to make it my focus? You know, not everyone has, Emmanuel really was able to benefit from having things fall into place for him and be able to have this opportunity to say, yes, I'm going to grab that. Not everyone has that. And he is very fortunate. And he says that, you know, he says being in this country has helped him do that. And I understand exactly what he's saying. But he also has enough other background to be able to say, I can also, I have enough acumen about my life that I know how to also support myself if I need to make a change again. He can pivot to other things. So people that grow up and all they know is music is very difficult to be able to pivot to other things. You have to know a lot of things. And one of the things I wish I'd been told in school is it's all sales. You must sell yourself all the time. And basically every career in some ways comes down to sales. And if you didn't learn that in school, and I certainly didn't, you're in for a rude shock when you get out. And you're like, oh, now what do I do? Well, we don't know. You got to figure it out. And I remember that getting out of college with, you know, nice degrees from a very good institution. It's not just handed to you. It's like, oh, okay, you know, the degree might get you an interview somewhere. But at the beginning, you know, it's working at small churches or with little choruses or at some schools or things. You're going to have to think small and be able to grow up from there. You know, Leonard Bernstein wasn't given the New York Philharmonic on the first day. You know, he got there. He had everyone cuts their teeth on something. Yeah. So you have to find your niche and then expand that. So that's the thing. That's the thing.
I agree completely with you. And unfortunately, yeah, in our conservatories, universities, yeah, they don't teach us how to survive after. And if in Europe, for example, you kind of have a support of the government, and even in Russia, you know, and the music schools in Russia are actually, it's a popular thing, yeah, and to study music when you are a child, yeah, to let your child to learn how to play some instrument. Yeah, and it's not so expensive like here in the States. And in Europe, I know it's even more popular. And even though in France, for example, if you are a musician and you don't have a stable job, government pays you. And when I was studying in Switzerland, I know that in that time it was 2,000 euros per month, and you just have to provide proof that you gave 5 concerts per month anywhere. But basically, you help society, yeah, you educating society. You are an educator, yeah, and bringing, culture, yes, to the culture, yeah, the quality. So, and this government supports. Here, unfortunately, in the States, we don't have this support at all. And we have to learn how to be basically businessmen. For yourself, because only few lucky ones who have agencies, yeah, and their agent work for them. And even though agent not always works for you, he's there to sign contract, but you have to constantly looking for a job. Yeah. So Alexei, Would you like to add anything to that? Do you have any advice, to the young professionals who just starting their studies, especially from your perspective as a being Russian musician?
Ну, я присоединяюсь к сказанному Майклом, но хочу вот так, скажем, добавить. Нужно прежде всего верить в себя, вот, постараться то образование, которое нам дают и в школе, и в училище, и в консерваториях, академиях, постараться как можно глубже это понять, принять, и потом через сердце все это отдать людям. И я думаю, что если это делать с чистым сердцем и со светлой душой, это обязательно найдет свой отклик в жизни.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for today's interview and our meeting. And it was so interesting to learn about you all. I'm sure there are a lot of things that you have to say, and you have still to share, and we will continue promote you as the artist on any our media and support you from Lyrica Classic. And we wish you all the possible projects, interesting projects, and interesting collaborations in the future. And to everybody who is watching us right now, we invite you to be witnesses of our production. We have 2 open rehearsals this Monday, December 14, and next Friday, December 18. The rehearsals will be broadcasted on our Zoom channel, and the final production you can watch on December 27th at 7 p.m. Moscow time on our YouTube live. The link is in the chat, and of course we also will share it with you over emails. Thank you so much, everyone, again, and
Спасибо.
let's keep working. And have a great day, evening, morning. So, and we will see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you all. Have a great one.
Спасибо. До
Bye-bye.
свидания.
До свидания.